Now if I were to ask you, what's been Pokemon's best new feature over the last 15 years? You would probably respond unproductively with something about home invasions and needing $1,100 for a new front door. Now given that I find that a fairly reductive answer, I instead decided to do some thinking. Now Pokemon gimmicks are interesting. Since 2010 it seems every subsequent iteration of Pikachu's Vacation has had its own selling point, a region-specific ability, an exciting new way to battle, or perhaps a horrific biological mutation. But which gimmicks were best? Which ones did we immediately forget about? Today I'll be ranking all of them, as well as the general fan reception to these gimmicks.
Yeah.
And so we find ourselves in dead last. Pokemon Generation 5's rotation battles are about as talked about nowadays as they are relaxing to play. This was essentially a 3v3 battle mode, where only one spot could attack or get hit, but each turn you could rotate Pokemon in and out of that spot. Now the problem manifests pretty much immediately when you realize there's like no rotation battles in the main campaign. Unless you count Heartbreaker Charles. I will never forget you, Heartbreaker Charles. So if you'd like to spend your nights habitually rotating, you're going to have to play against the AI, which in itself is another problem because the AI in this game is functionally random, basically defeating the entire point of employing any strategy at all. So you then end up in a scenario where the AI either performs the most confounding set of inputs known to modern computing, or, in my case, Pokemon Ranger Daryl from Black 2 predicts every single one of my moves correctly, and I get so mad that my parents confiscate my DS for 3 days. Also, Pokemon battling as it is unwieldy enough of a task already. Adding a couple of extra steps is like cooking 2-minute noodles and then eating an extra flavor packet dry to add to the experience. There's just a little bit too much going on, to be honest. Triple battles are like rotation battles. They're Generation 5's other region-specific gimmick, except this time they're
less insulting to my overall sense of humanity.
It's just double battles plus one. That's kinda it. I would specifically have some witty Garfield-esque non sequitur to throw at such a gimmick, but how much can I specifically say about a feature whose entire existence is just being 0.3 times busier than a format that at the time already existed for 8 years? I will say though, they're definitely used more in later gens than rotation battles, usually resulting from somebody wanting a 3v3 metronome chaos match, or because I accidentally misclicked the fucking battle menu again. I also don't want to come across like this feature is somehow redundant, or its existence is strictly offensive, but while you can have some fun here and there, I'd have to give this gimmick the Elias Badly rendered PNG award for most okay feature. Really, nothing less or more. Hey mate, check it out, I'm bloody massive now. Yeah, Dynamax and Gigantamax. Pokemon are like really big now, except apparently only on football stadiums and the lawless wastelands. Dynamax makes Pokemon larger and statistically more ripped, while Gigantamax is only given to special Pokemon and changes their form but only for a short period of time. And now you may be looking at me right now and thinking to yourself, man, that sounds a whole lot like Mega Evolutions. And hell, doesn't Gmax, Kingler and Marchamp just look like leaked megas of those two Pokemon? Well, yes, but you may be missing the very subtle point that they're fucking giant. Now, despite how fun I find this feature to be, ostensibly speaking, it's just a mix of the last two generations' gimmicks, with Gmax Pokemon basically being big megas, and Gmax moves basically being big Z moves. Now, despite its lack of girth-related identity, this feature is still a fun and effective time, giving some forms to some Pokemon who really need it. Also giving Gengar and Charizard a form because Game Freak cannot fucking help themselves. Also, Fat Pikachu's back. It's Fat Pikachu. That's the segment. That's the segment. With the introduction of Generation 9's gimmicks, terrestrialization and terratypes, it leaves me with a feeling that I hold near and dear to my heart.
Unrelenting paranoia.
Thanks to the ability to change one Pokemon's type per battle, I now not only have to contend with the infinitely large list of variables in a battle that exist already, or the non-0% chance that at any second Cuddles the cute goofball is going to actually fucking explode on me, but now the fact that my opponent could just cataclysmically bamboozle me at any point by changing types, which I not only find hilarious on its own, but it also means that this feature isn't limited to Pokemon that get the Game Freak oil massage of approval. God, that's a rancid sentence. What I mean by that is any Pokemon can benefit from this, rather than just God's favorites. I mean, not all Pokemon benefit from this. I wouldn't change my Shedinja into a grass type in order to get me to grind harder, but you know what I mean. But what I like about this is a Pokemon doesn't have to be popular or have an overly long list of qualifiers in order for it to become viable. Thanks to this feature, you just do whatever. And now I can spend my days happily perverting the natural order of the world. Bloody brilliant. Z-moves and crystals at number 2? Why so high up? Well, I'm a simple man. You give me the option to bring a nuke to a gunfight, and 11 times out of 10,
We'll burn to cinders.
these one-time battle use items that turn a regular move into an anime-esque finale sequence, I think they're just funny to me. Maybe I'm just enamored by how hilariously over the top these moves and their animations are. Like, imagine a low-level Pokemon. It knows scratch and growl because it knows how to scratch and growl, and then some arsehole actually just airdrops a fucking continent onto it. Like, it's just so absurd that at any point a 10-year-old with a raging power fantasy can just fucking erase a seagull for the crime of existing in the most brutal way imaginable. Like Terratypes, I also enjoy how all Pokemon benefit from these, and when they did give Pokemon their own signature Z-moves, they went to Mons actively from Alola, except for the 5 Kanto Pokemon that also got Z-moves. But old habits die hard, I guess. Yes, they're not the most original concept in the world, and yes, they are kinda just like flashy versions of gems from Gen 5. But frankly, I am so amused by Mimikyu swallowing a Pokemon under its darkness void and then launching them out in the most Tom and Jerry-ass sequence imaginable that frankly, I don't really care. And by process of elimination, this leaves us with Pokemon's best gimmick. If you've been paying attention to the video, you probably already know what it is. That's correct. The best gimmick in all of Pokemon is Generation 8's Curry Dex. Up the Curry Dex, make some curry. Ooh! It's Mega Evolutions. Mega Evolutions are the best gimmick in Pokemon. They're just the best. Thank you for watching this obnoxious and quite frankly terrible video. Have a nice day.